I can confidently say that just by looking at your relationship with money at the moment, I can tell exactly what your financial future will look like. I can tell how poor or rich you will be just by how well you manage your financial activities at the moment. And the strange thing is, many of you do not know that what you are doing can dampen or cause a negative effect to your finances in the future. In this video, I'll be telling you 7 money habits that are keeping you poor. Join me. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1, not investing. So many people are guilty of this particular issue because there's this tendency for people to focus more on savings than the beauty of investing. So many a times you need to understand this. Savings is a way to steady your income. Investing is a way of taking it from one level to another. You see, investment is the process of putting your money to work for you by buying assets that generate income or increase in value over time. But the sad thing is a lot of people keep their money in low interest savings accounts instead of, going out to invest their funds. And this is because a lot of people believe that a bird in hand is better than 10 in the bush. And they keep that kind of approach when it comes to savings and investment. But different is the case. Listen, the highest your savings can do for you is to help stabilize your earnings. But it will take investment for you to be able to hit the financial highs that you really should be attaining. You need to stop thinking that investment is risky and complicated and time consuming. You need to look beyond that. See it for the benefits that it is. And another thing also is that you don't necessarily have to think increased volatility when it comes to investment. There are different kinds of investments. Some kind of investments are a lot more passive than others. How about you start with the passive ones, and then maybe you can allocate very little bit of your resources to the higher volatile investments. This is important because you need to ensure that you have a portfolio that also matches, your personal proclivities also. This is extremely important. You can invest in stocks and bonds, whatever it is, but ensure that in whatever you do, you don't just leave money wallowing, or you don't just leave money perching in your bank account, because whether you like it or not, it is hard for your savings to beat the inflation rate. It is harder for your savings to beat the inflation rate. Investing is the only wise way to keep on beating the inflation rate. Invest. Either you're investing in the business, either you're investing in stocks, bonds, whatever it is, just ensure that you are making financial decisions that are sensible enough to not just give you your money back, but also give you a given amount of return on that very investment. I'm going to do a separate video entirely on how to invest and the kind of investments that exist. But for now, the note is simple. Ensure you invest. Investment over savings. Because whether you like it or not, as noble as savings look or seem, they could be one of the habits that are keeping you poor. Let your money begin to work for you. The number 2 habit that is keeping you poor is the practice of buying cheap or quantity above quality. Now, this is extremely crazy, and particularly from the sub-Saharan context, right? The average Nigerian has a terrible habit of buying cheap products or going for more quantity above quality. But the very interesting thing is that at the end of it all, you're going to end up regretting. Let me give a very simple example. I remember growing up, there used to be original, Apple earpieces, for example, and maybe they cost, for example, about 10,000? I'm giving an example. And then instead of buying that for 10,000, you settle for the cheap one of, let's say, 5,000, right? And then the craziest thing is that you will end up replacing the cheap one you bought pretty much every 2 weeks or maybe a month, because it will definitely keep on wearing and tearing and spoiling. Whereas somebody who's got, the original for 10,000 might end up using it for about 3 years. And the strangest thing is this, that at the end of all your expenses, and by the time you calculate all the money you spent on buying cheap product after cheap product after cheap product and going after quantity, you will find out that buying one single product that would have given you all the durability and the quality that you wanted would have actually been a better choice. Not every single time should you always go for a cheaper alternative. In fact, I always advocate, as long as the quality of your product is commensurate, to what it costs from you, right? I think you should go for it. Go for quality over quantity. Always ensure that no matter how pressing your need is, you should always settle for what will give you long-term, benefits and long-term satisfaction. Stop thinking in the immediate. Stop being myopic in your financial decisions. If you know fully well that you want to use something for the longest possible time, ensure that you go for the very best. The number 3 habit that is keeping you poor is thinking negatively about money. You see, in as much as a lot of people love money, through negative mindset and negative condition, a lot of people have actually cast, negative aspersions on the integrity of money. I've heard a lot of things. People say that money is the root of all evil. People say money is hard to get. People say so many things. Well, newsflash, money is not the root of all evil. It is the love of money that is the root of all evil. Those are two separate things. Money itself can get things done. Money itself gives you the quality of life. Money itself, to a very given extent, can bring happiness your way. Money itself can get things sorted out. Money itself can ensure that you live a very good, quality of life. I've seen people who say money is hard. Money is not for me. And then before they know it, they gradually get into a bubble in their minds where they think they don't deserve money, where they think every other person can get money except them. People, by their minds or through their words, have placed certain limitations on their capacity to make money. Maybe it's because they grew up in an environment where they felt like, money was hard to come by. But truth of the matter is this: it is impossible, and I repeat, it is impossible for you to attract what you've not already, first and foremost, allowed yourself to embrace in the realm of your mind. If it is in your mind, then it can come to your hand. So you must first and foremost see money for what it is. It's supposed to be a tool that you wield to your advantage. So it's time to change your mentality. Stop seeing money as a goal. See it as a tool. And you should also learn to affirm to yourself that money is easy to earn. Money can be gotten. I can make money because people around me are making it. I shouldn't be any different. So you need to start by thinking positively. This is extremely important, because all I'm about to say will not matter if your mindset is still faulty. So it's time to get the negative mentality about money out of the way, and let's make some money. The number 4 money habit that is keeping you poor is spending money on things you do not need. I dare say that this is arguably the most important point that I'm going to make here today. It's because a whole lot of people tend to spend money on their wants rather than their essentials. Listen, at the point where you begin to build wealth, you need to focus on the most essential things and ensure that you make your major expenses centered around the needs rather than your wants. Because if you're really going to build wealth, you're going to need to do a lot of delayed gratification. Stop spending money on an expensive meal or anything trendy. It's not every single installment of iPhone that needs to make it to your gadget shelf. It's not every single thing that pops up that you need to buy. It's not every expensive designer that needs to see. That you have the money does not mean you can truly afford it. That you have the money for something does not mean you can truly afford it. Affordability, speaks to several things. It speaks to more than just having that money cooling in your bank account. So you need to have that mentality. And this is crucial because buying anything that you want could actually give you a temporary boost of happiness. But in the long run, it will actually lead to debt and some mental stress. So delayed gratification is a very core principle if you are going to build wealth in the best possible way. And this leads me to the 5th point. The 5th habit that is keeping you poor is not having a budget. Not having a budget. There is no sensible businessman who is about to make a hefty investment in any venture whatsoever that will not first and foremost sit down and count the costs and look at exactly where his money is going to and what returns it will eventually bring to him. Having a budget doesn't make you thrifty. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you naive. Instead, it makes you wise. A person with a budget will always ensure that he doesn't spend above what is required. This is extremely important. Having a budget doesn't make you a boring person. Instead, it makes you a calculated person. Only people with budget, only people with planned expenditures, only people with scale of preferences will end up building sustainable wealth. You cannot spend impulsively. Therefore, a budget is extremely important. So if you go through life without a budget, I can definitely tell where you end up. If you don't know how much you earn and how much you save and how much you spend, you would definitely be overspending. So to avoid this terrible habit, I advocate that you should do some form of accounting in its simplest form. I'm not saying you should employ an accountant. I'm simply saying that you need to draw up a list of your income, your expenses, and what amount of money will go into savings. Have a formula. It could be a 40-40-20, or it could be a 40-30, 20-10, depending on what works for you. How much of your money is going into, your savings first. I always advocate that people should spend what is left after saving and not save what is left after spending. So this is extremely important, but your budget will help you act the right way. How much am I saving? Now, out of my savings, how much am I setting apart for investment? Are you getting this? How much am I spending? How much is enough to sustain my current livelihood? What do I do? As I make more money, am I going to automatically improve my lifestyle? What's exactly going to happen? Or if I'm trying to save up for a particular thing, I'm trying to save up to a particular course, for example, what am I going to do? What has got to go? Okay? What is on your scale of preference? This is extremely vital. And the good thing is that with technology, there are more and more apps that can help you with this. There are several apps on Google Play Store, App Store that can help you plan your money and budget properly. And this leads me to the sixth point. The sixth habit that is keeping you poor is living above your means. Now, hold on. I'm sure that you're about to get the bit judgy because you're already thinking about that colleague of yours or that neighbor of yours that spends more money than they actually make. But it could be very funny if I told you that you could be the person currently living above your means. You know why? Because you're currently looking at me and relying on credit cards to fund a lifestyle that you really cannot sustain. So listen, living above your means can actually be a line that you keep on crossing, bit after bit, bit after bit, bit after bit. And before you know it, you're in a pit of debt. So the thing is most people never really know when they start living above their means because it always starts bit after bit. And before you know it, they've crossed lines that they never thought they could. So the number one rule that will always help you live below your means is to spend less than what you earn. This is very important. If your earning per month is $2,000, ensure that in whatever you do not spend above that exact amount of money. This is very important because the moment you begin to pay debts or take credit loans or take whatever it is, it's a never-ending cycle. It's because you never really end up paying for these things till several years to come. And before you know it, you begin to dip into savings or rainy day funds that you might have kept for more important things at some point. So you really need to watch it. Some things are lawful, not all things are expedient. Some things could be legitimate wants, but they are really not needed considering the financial level that you currently find yourself. This is very crucial because before you know it, you're already at the mercy of loan sharks. You borrowed the first time, the interest keep accruing, and then you keep borrowing to pay back the money you had borrowed before, and you keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and before you know, you're in this very messy pit. So I always implore people to try as much as possible to spend below the amount of money that they make. You see, from the part of the world that I come from, we have this very interesting statement that it is wrong to eat with all your 10 fingers. Now, what that simply means is try not to eat with all of the money that you have at a given point in time. But this is going to take a lot of discipline. That's why I always advocate that if you know you have a money problem, it's good to have an accountability partner, somebody who is a bit wiser with money than you are. Or you could even have somebody you keep your money with. I have people who this works for. If they know very well that they have a tendency to spend more money than they earn, it is important that they, apportion the money and then throw it to different people. So this particular money is for my feeding. I'm going to keep it with me. But this particular money is going to be kept with this person. Or how about you begin to leverage or take advantage of several bank apps, for example, or saving apps that help you lock money till the exact period of time that you need it. All that you need to do, just ensure that you're as disciplined as possible when it comes to managing your funds, and never ever live above your means. Never ever. Learn to delay gratification, because let me tell you, so many of the things that you want so badly, you probably might be able to afford them in a couple of years if you're disciplined enough to endure and persevere to that very moment. And this leads me to the final point. The seventh habit that is keeping you poor: FOMO. You might ask, what is FOMO? FOMO is simply the fear of missing out. Now, the fear of missing out can find itself or come into play in different dimensions, but I'm also going to focus on two here. It's going to be fear of missing out in terms of lifestyle and the fear of missing out in terms of investments. Now, there's usually a fear of missing out in terms of lifestyle. You feel like you have to always be, moving with the trend, At some point, it used to be some sense of high fashion. At some point, people were buying a particular type of shoe. People were using a particular type of, digital device. Some people were using a particular kind of phone. And then it was all finicky because everybody had it and everything. But the truth of the matter is this: because everybody seems to be having it doesn't mean you can afford it. You need to understand your financial journey is unique to you. You are the main person that knows how much you earn and how much responsibilities you have and the backlog of debts that you're paying. Stop comparing yourself with people who are from, a lineage with 4 generations of affluence. No, bro. No, you are probably still the person responsible for catering for your family. Understand and live in your season and live in your timing. This is very, very, very crucial. The fear of missing out, FOMO, must not get the better of you. It's okay to turn your eye away from the things that could be enticing. This is very important. It's going to need some very good sense of discipline. The next part of FOMO that I want to talk about is FOMO when it comes to investment opportunities. As interesting as this sounds, investment is good, but not every investment is for you. Now, a lot of people, out of the fear of missing out, have lost the entire money that they've amassed all their lives just because they felt that they wanted to, take advantage of specific opportunities. So listen and let me explain a very simple trick to you. As a rule of thumb, when it comes to cryptocurrency investments, for example, other people are buying, is the right time to sell. When people are selling, is the right time to buy. And this is very important. It is because when the direction of people seem to be tilting towards a particular coin or a particular kind of investment, already kind of means that it's already too late. So there is something in business we call FMA, first movers advantage. So let me explain in layman terms. The people who are fastest or quickest to identifying specific opportunities are usually the people who make the most of those opportunities, right? And when something begins to get more popular, it then to a given extent means that the time probably has come for you to, pull out your resources, because now there are a lot more people having a share of the cake. So ensure time and again that you don't just jump into every single thing that seems smart. Another thing also why FOMO is something you need to avoid is also because many Ponzi schemes and scams work with FOMO. The fact that somebody has invested $1 million and made 30% of that money in a month, which already is ridiculous if you ask me, because I'll put it this way, any investment that offers you more than 5% a month is already suspect. So how much more 30%? So the moment people have already made money from it, and then you see people have made a lot of money. Wow, that's cute, right? I want to be a part of it. Well, you will be somebody's liquidity exit point. You will be someone's liquidity to exit. So one thing I would always advise you to do is that whenever you sense, a financial opportunity, try to ensure that you're not being led by your emotions, but rather with as much consciousness and as much data as possible. Okay, do not jump into any investment that you see. Instead, one of the other things I always advise is that if you're not necessarily too sure about an investment opportunity, you can test the waters for a bit. So I give you an example. Let's say you have about $10,000 to invest on something. Instead of dropping all $10,000, if you're not 100% sure of that exact business opportunity, or maybe it's something new to you, or is something everyone seems to be talking about, but you're not necessarily convinced about, I would advise that maybe you just test it with about 10% or 20% of the entire money you want to invest, stuff like that. So this is very important because I've seen a lot of people lose significant amounts of money through the fear of missing out. And you must ensure that your money does not go with anything. And the final thing I want to say about FOMO is that it's very important because a lot of Ponzi schemes and scams thrive on the principle of FOMO. So they have people who have already benefited from the scheme, and those ones that make so much noise about it, and they keep telling more people, and before you know it, your money is the amount of money that the rest of them share, because your own money will be gone. So beware of so good to be true investments, right? And avoid the whole thing of, being scared of missing out of an opportunity. Let me tell you something. Not every opportunity will favor you, and not every opportunity will be for you. Don't worry. There's one thing I know about investment, and is that investment always rewards patience. Investment always rewards patience. So be patient. Be patient. If this opportunity doesn't work for you, the next one will. If the next one doesn't, one in the future will definitely come and work in your favor. So that's one thing I really want to stress. And that leads me to the end of this very video. But finally, I want to say, building wealth is a journey. It's not something you wake up and fall into. Neither is it something that is backed by just a single action. It is something that you grow into, and it's a journey that you might never, ever reach in a year or 2 or 3 or 4. But one thing I can tell you is this. It is the bits and the pieces that end up forming the whole. It is the little habits that are good enough to keep you rolling that end up, helping you build as much money as possible. It's the compound effect that makes the entire matter sweet enough. All right. So I want to implore you that you should keep on making disciplined and important decisions with your finances. And before you know it, one day you will wake up a rich person. But one thing I can assure you is that it wouldn't have been accidental. It would have been as a result of years and years and years of the very best decision. Thank you so much for watching this. At this juncture, I want to remind you once again that if you are yet to click on the subscribe button, you are wrong. You are wrong, and you really ought to. So I'm waiting. Click on the subscribe button, and also do not forget to like this video so it can reach a whole lot more people. Thank you so much for watching this. And like I like to end all of my videos, Ireo.